Park Tae-ho stood alone in the great chamber. The room was so large that his voice echoed 3 times before it faded into silence. Around him sat the 12 elder species of the Galactic Assembly. They looked down at him from their high seats like judges watching an insect. He was the first human to stand here. Earth had waited 200 years for this moment. 200 years of proving themselves. 200 years of following every rule, every law, every small demand the council made. And finally, humanity had earned 1 seat, just 1 voice among thousands of stars. Tae-ho wore a simple black suit. No medals, no symbols of power. The council species loved to cover themselves in gold and jewels. They wore robes that cost more than entire human cities, but Tae-ho believed that words mattered more than clothes. He believed that truth was the strongest weapon. He was about to learn how wrong he was. The Velen representative sat directly above him. His name was Kasok, and his species looked like tall, gray birds, with 4 arms and eyes that never blinked. The Velens had ruled this part of the galaxy for 10,000 years. They saw humans as children, worse than children. They saw humans as accidents, mistakes of evolution that somehow learned to build ships. Tae-ho held a small device in his hand. Inside it was evidence that would shake the galaxy. For 3 years, he had gathered proof, secret transmissions, medical records, testimony from survivors. All of it pointed to one terrible truth. The Velen Empire was poisoning human colony worlds, not with weapons, not with soldiers. They were more clever than that. They used a biological agent that made humans unable to have children. Slowly, quietly, they were making sure humanity would die out within a few generations. 23 colony worlds had already been affected. Millions of humans would never have sons or daughters, and the council knew. They had always known. Tae-ho activated the device. A hologram appeared in the center of the chamber, showing documents, recordings, and data that could not be denied. "Honored members of the Assembly," he said. His voice was calm but strong. "I present evidence of genocide against the human species. The Velen Empire has violated 17 galactic laws. They have committed crimes against a member species. I demand justice." The chamber went silent. Not the silence of shock. The silence of anger. Kasok rose from his seat, his 4 arms spread wide like wings of shadow. "This human lies. He creates false evidence to attack our noble empire. This is why their species should never have been allowed here. They are violent. They are deceitful. They are dangerous." Tae-ho stood his ground. "The evidence is verified by independent systems. I have already prepared a transmission to Earth. The truth will be known." That was his mistake. He should not have told them about the transmission. The eldest member of the council, a being called the Prime Voice, raised one ancient hand. He was so old that no one remembered what species he came from. His body was more machine than flesh now, kept alive by technology beyond human understanding. "We invoke the protocol of erasure," the Prime Voice said. His words were quiet, but they carried through the chamber like thunder. Tae-ho did not know what that meant. He had studied every law, every rule, every protocol he could find, but this one was not in any record. Guards appeared from hidden doors. They were not Velens. They were machines, ancient machines with weapons built into their arms. They surrounded Tae-ho before he could move. "What is this?" Tae-ho demanded. For the first time, fear entered his voice. "I am a diplomatic representative. I have immunity. You cannot touch me." The Prime Voice looked down at him with eyes that held no mercy. "The protocol of erasure exists for moments when a voice threatens the harmony of the galaxy. Your words are dissonance. Dissonance must be silenced." Tae-ho understood then. There was no justice here. There never had been. The council was not a place of law. It was a place of power. And humanity had none. He thought of his wife back on Earth. Her name was Yoon Soo-min, and she had begged him not to take this mission. She had felt something wrong in her heart. He had told her not to worry. He had told her that truth would protect him. He thought of his daughter, just 7 years old, who had made him promise to bring her a star. He had laughed and said he would try. He would break that promise now. But Park Tae-ho was not a man who begged. He stood straight and looked at the council one last time. "You can kill me," he said. "You can erase my words from your records, but you cannot erase what I am. I am human, and humans do not forget. We do not forgive, and we do not stay silent forever." He pressed a hidden button on his collar. A microtransmission burst out on a frequency the council did not know. A frequency that only human ships could hear. It lasted less than 1 second. It contained everything. The guards fired. Park Tae-ho's body burned. In 3 seconds, there was nothing left but ash. The machines collected even the ash and destroyed it. They scrubbed the floor. They purified the air. Within 10 minutes, there was no proof that a human had ever stood in that chamber. The council sent a polite message to Earth. It said that Ambassador Park Tae-ho had decided to resign his position. It said that he had chosen to leave the chamber voluntarily. It said that humanity's seat on the council was revoked because their species was not ready for galactic responsibility. They expected Earth to accept this. They expected the humans to be confused and sad but ultimately obedient. For 10,000 years, younger species had always obeyed. They had no choice. The council was too powerful. The elder species controlled everything, but the council had made a mistake. They had studied human history. They had seen the wars, the violence, the chaos. They thought this made humans weak and foolish. They did not understand what those wars really meant. They did not see that humanity had survived every disaster. Ice ages, plagues, nuclear fire, world wars, environmental collapse. Again and again, humans had faced extinction, and again, they had refused to die. The council had silenced one voice. They did not know that they had just awakened an entire species. Far away, on a small ship hidden in the dark space between stars, a receiver blinked. A single second of data began to download. The ship belonged to the United Terran Intelligence Service. Its captain immediately sent the file to Earth using the fastest method possible. The message reached Admiral Kang Soo-yeon 16 hours later. She was about to watch her friend die, and she was about to decide the fate of every star in the galaxy. The age of silence was ending. The age of fire was about to begin. Admiral Kang Soo-yeon sat alone in her office aboard the carrier ship Dawn of Terra. The room was dark except for the blue glow of a hologram playing in front of her. She had watched the recording 17 times now. Each time, she hoped it would end differently. Each time, Park Tae-ho burned. She had known him for 30 years. They had trained together at the academy. He had been there when she got married. She had been there when his daughter was born. He was not just a colleague or a friend. He was family, and she had just watched him die. The recording ended with his final words. His voice was steady, even though he knew death was coming. "You can kill me, but humans do not forget. We do not forgive, and we do not stay silent forever." Then came the fire. Then came the nothing. Soo-yeon closed her eyes. She was 53 years old. She had gray hair cut short and a face that rarely smiled. For 30 years she had served the United Terran Defense Fleet. She had fought pirates. She had protected colonies. She had done everything right. Everything by the rules, because she believed that one day humanity would earn its place among the stars. That dream died with Tae-ho. She opened her eyes and looked at the 2 words he had hidden at the end of the transmission. 2 words that would change everything. Remember us. Not remember me, remember us. Tae-ho knew what his death meant. He knew the council would not stop with him. This was not about one man. This was about all of humanity. Soo-yeon stood up. She pressed a button on her desk and spoke clearly. "Emergency session. Joint Terran Council. All members. Now." Within 1 hour, the most powerful leaders of Earth gathered in a secure virtual chamber. Presidents, prime ministers, generals, scientists. They came from every nation, every continent, every ideology. They were often enemies who could not agree on anything, but today they would agree. Because today they learned what the galaxy really thought of them. Soo-yeon played the recording. She watched their faces as they saw Tae-ho present his evidence. She watched their horror as they learned about the poisoned colonies. She watched their rage as the council murdered him without trial or mercy. When the recording ended, No one spoke for a long time. The Secretary General of the United Earth Federation, a woman named Choi Mi-young, broke the silence. Her voice was thick with anger. They killed him. They just killed him. Like he was nothing. Like we are nothing, Su-yeon said. That is what they believe. To them, we are insects. Mistakes. They have been trying to erase us slowly. Now they will try to erase us quickly. What do we do? Asked the President of the American States. We cannot fight them. Their fleets are 1,000 times larger than ours. Their technology is 1,000 years more advanced. Su-yeon had expected this question. She had been preparing for it her entire career. I need authorization to activate the Prometheus initiative. The chamber went silent again. Some of the leaders looked confused. They did not know that name. But others, the ones who had access to the deepest secrets, went pale. That project was theoretical, said General Oh Dong-soo. He was in charge of special operations. We were told it could never actually work. It works, Su-yeon said. Dr. Yoon Hana completed the final tests 6 months ago. We have 3 operational devices. We call them the last argument. She pressed another button. A new hologram appeared. It showed a small black sphere, no larger than a human fist. It looked simple, almost harmless. This device, when activated near a star, will cause that star to collapse. The process takes between 4 and 6 hours. The result is complete destruction of the entire star system. Nothing survives. Nobody breathed. You are talking about a weapon that can kill billions, said Mi-young. You are talking about becoming monsters. Su-yeon nodded slowly. Yes, that is exactly what I am talking about. The Council just showed us that they will never see us as equals. They will poison us. They will erase us. They will kill our children before they are born. We have 2 choices. We can die quietly, the way they want, or we can make sure that killing us costs more than they are willing to pay. This is madness, someone said. No, Su-yeon replied. Madness is believing that species who murder ambassadors will ever give us peace. Madness is hoping that creatures who sterilize our colonies will ever show mercy. The Council has ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years because no one has ever threatened what they truly love. Their homes. Their stars. Their future. She paused. It is time to make a threat they cannot ignore. The debate lasted 4 hours. There were arguments. There were tears. Some leaders refused to be part of this decision and left the chamber. But in the end, the vote passed. Humanity would not go quietly into extinction. Su-yeon contacted Dr. Yoon Hana immediately. Hana was a small woman with tired eyes and gentle hands. She had spent 15 years developing the last argument. She had hoped it would never be used. It is time, Su-yeon told her. Hana closed her eyes for a moment. How many? All 3 devices. Plus we need to build more. As many as we can. Do you understand what this means? Hana asked. Once we do this, there is no going back. We become the thing the galaxy fears. We become destroyers of worlds. Su-yeon thought about Tai-ho. She thought about his daughter who would never see her father again. She thought about the millions of humans on poisoned colonies who would never have children. They made us this way, she said. They took everything else from us. They left us only fire. Hana nodded. There were tears on her face, but her voice was steady. I will need 6 months. Can you give me 6 months? Take what you need. But Hana, no one can know what we are doing. The Council thinks they have broken us. Let them believe it. Let them think we are grieving and weak. When we strike, it must be without warning. That night, Admiral Kang Su-yeon stood alone on the observation deck of her ship. She looked at the stars. For her whole life, those stars had represented hope, the future, possibility. Now she saw them differently. She saw them as hostages. She saw them as leverage. She saw them as the only thing the Council truly valued. Forgive me, Tai-ho. She whispered to the darkness. I will remember us. I will make sure the whole galaxy remembers us. Forever. Somewhere in the deep black of space, hidden factories began to wake. Scientists who had spent their careers studying stars now studied how to kill them. Engineers who had dreamed of building new worlds now designed weapons of absolute destruction. Humanity had been many things throughout its history. Explorers, builders, dreamers. Now they would become something new, something the galaxy had never seen, something terrible. For 6 months, Earth went silent. No transmissions reached the Council. No trade ships left human space. No diplomats requested meetings. The humans simply disappeared from galactic affairs. Like a candle blown out by wind, the Council was pleased. They believed their message had been received. They believed humanity finally understood its place. Some elder species even laughed about how easy it had been. One dead ambassador, one small warning, and the troublesome apes from the Sol system had learned to be quiet. They did not know what was happening in the silence. Captain Baek Jinwoo stood on the bridge of his ship, the Silent Wind. It was a ghost ship, built to be invisible. No heat signature, no energy readings, no electromagnetic trace. To the sensors of other species, it did not exist. He commanded a fleet of 12 such ships, 12 shadows moving through the galaxy without sound or light. Their mission was simple but terrifying. They would position relay beacons near the home stars of every Council species. Each beacon carried a seed of destruction. Jin Woo was 38 years old. He had a wife and 2 sons back on Earth. Before this mission, he had recorded a message for them. He told them he loved them. He told them to be proud. He did not tell them where he was going or what he was doing. Some secrets were too heavy for families to carry. His navigator, Lieutenant Han Ye-jin, looked up from her console. "Captain, we are approaching the Velen home system. Their patrols are heavy. This will be the most dangerous placement." Jinwoo nodded. The Velens, the species that had murdered Ambassador Park and poisoned human colonies. The species that had started all of this. He wanted very much to see their star die first. "Take us in slow," he said. "No mistakes, no traces. We are ghosts, and ghosts leave no footprints." The Silent Wind slipped past Velan patrol ships like smoke through fingers. For 3 days they moved closer to the star called Keth, the burning heart of the Velan Empire. 4 billion Velans lived on worlds orbiting that star. They built great cities. They raised children. They believed they were safe. They were not safe. No one was safe anymore. Jinwoo personally placed the beacon. He used a small shuttle to get close enough to the star. The heat was terrible, even with shields at maximum. Sweat ran down his face as he released the device. It was small and black and silent. It attached itself to a chunk of space rock and went dark. One day, if the order came, that tiny device would wake up. It would inject particles into the star's core, and Keth would die. Taking everything with it, Jinwoo returned to his ship and moved on to the next target. There were 11 more stars to visit, 11 more beacons to place, 11 more billions of lives that now rested in human hands. Back on Earth, General Oh Dong-soo worked on a different project. He was in charge of the Exodus Arcs. These were massive ships, each one capable of carrying 10 million people. If everything went wrong, if the Council struck back with all their power, these ships would carry humanity into the unknown. They would flee to distant galaxies, where no one could follow. They would start again. Dong-soo hoped the Arcs would never be needed. But hope was not a strategy. Preparation was a strategy. "How many can we save?" asked Secretary General Choi Mi-young during one of her visits. 300 million, Dong-soo replied. "Maybe 400 million if we pack them tight. Earth has 12 billion people." "I know." His voice was heavy. "We are choosing who survives. Age, skills, genetic diversity. Children first. Always children first. It is the hardest thing I have ever done." Mi-young put her hand on his shoulder. "You are giving us a chance. That is more than we had before." In the deepest laboratory on Luna, Dr. Yoon Hana worked without sleep. Dark circles lived under her eyes. Her hands shook from too much coffee and too little rest. But she did not stop. She could not stop. The original 3 devices were ready. Now she was building more. Many more. Assembly lines ran day and night. Raw materials poured in from every human mining operation. In 6 months, she had created 47 last arguments, 47 weapons capable of killing stars. Her assistant, a young man named Kwon Jun Seo, found her crying one night. She was sitting alone in her office, staring at holographic images of stars. "Dr. Yoon, are you all right?" Hana wiped her eyes. "I used to love stars. When I was a little girl, my grandmother would take me to the roof and we would count them together. She told me that each star was a promise that tomorrow would come. And now I see them differently. Now I see how fragile they are, how easily they can be broken. I have become very good at breaking promises, Junso. I have become very good at ending tomorrows." Junso did not know what to say. What could anyone say? They were all becoming something new, something they had never wanted to be. As the 6th month ended, Admiral Kang Soo-yeon called a final meeting. The commanders gathered on the dawn of Terra. Jin-woo was there, his Ghost Fleet mission complete. Dong-soo was there, his arcs ready to launch. Hana was there, her weapons waiting in hidden facilities across the solar system. "The time has come," Soo-yeon said. "Captain Jin-woo, report. All beacons are in place. Every council home star is targeted. We can collapse any of them within 72 hours of activation. General Dong-soo, the arcs are ready. If we need to run, we can begin evacuation within 6 hours. Dr. Yoon, 47 devices operational. 12 more will be ready within the month. We have enough fire to burn half the galaxy." Soo-yeon looked at each of them. These people had given up everything for this moment. Their peace, their innocence, their sleep. They had become weapons themselves, shaped by grief and fear into something hard and sharp. "Tomorrow, we send the Herald of Taeho to the council capital," she said. "Commander Yoon Mira will deliver our message. After that, nothing will be the same. The galaxy will know what we have become. They will hate us. They will fear us. They will never forget us." She paused and looked out the window at the stars. "Before we begin, I want to say something. What we are doing is terrible. We are threatening to kill billions of innocent beings. We are becoming the monsters that the Council always said we were. I know this. I feel the weight of it every moment." Her voice grew stronger. "But I also know that we did not choose this path. They chose it for us. They murdered our ambassador. They poisoned our children. They tried to erase us from existence. We asked for peace. We asked for justice. We asked for nothing but a place among the stars. They gave us death instead." She turned back to face her commanders. "So now we give them fear. We give them the only thing they understand. We give them the last argument of a species that will not die quietly. History will judge us. Our children will judge us, but our children will be alive to judge us. And that is enough." No one spoke. There was nothing left to say. The whisper was ending. The thunder was about to begin. The ship appeared without warning. One moment, the space above the council capital world was empty. The next moment, a single vessel hung there like a dark star. It was small by galactic standards. No weapons were visible on its hull. It carried no fleet behind it. Just one ship, alone against an empire that spanned 1,000 worlds. Its name was painted in bright letters that every species could read. Herald of Taeho. Alarms screamed across the planet below. Defense platforms powered up. Warships scrambled from orbital stations. Within minutes, over 200 vessels surrounded the small human ship, their weapons locked on target. Their crews waited for the order to fire, but the order did not come, because the ship was already transmitting, and its message was being broadcast on every frequency in the galaxy. Commander Yoon Mira stood on the bridge of the Herald. She was 41 years old with short black hair and calm eyes. She had served in the fleet for 20 years. She had never fired a weapon in anger. She had joined because she loved exploration, not war. Now she was about to threaten the death of civilizations. She activated the transmission and began to speak. Her voice went out to every ship, every station, every planet that could receive it. Billions of beings heard her words at the same moment. "I am Commander Yoon Mira of the United Terran Defense Fleet. I speak for humanity. I speak for the 12 billion souls who call Earth their home. I speak for the colonies you have poisoned and the ambassador you have murdered." She paused to let her words sink in. 6 months ago, Ambassador Park Tae-ho stood before your council. He presented evidence of genocide against our people. He asked for justice. You gave him death. You burned his body and erased his words. You sent us a message telling us to accept our place, telling us to be silent, telling us to die quietly. Her voice grew harder. We have received your message. Now receive ours. The holographic display behind her activated. It showed a map of the galaxy with 12 points of light highlighted. Each point was a council species home star. Every star you see marked on this display now contains a device of human design. These devices are capable of causing stellar collapse. In simple terms, we can make your suns explode. We can end your worlds. We can erase your civilizations the same way you tried to erase us. The transmission continued. Across the galaxy, beings watched in shock. The young species from the small blue planet had done the impossible. They had built weapons that could kill stars. They had positioned those weapons at the heart of every major power. They had done it in silence, without anyone noticing. You thought we were weak. Mira continued. You thought we would kneel. You were wrong. Humanity does not kneel. We learned to stand in ice ages that killed 90% of our species. We learned to fight in world wars that burned our cities to ash. We learned to survive plagues, famines, and fires that would have ended lesser peoples. We are not weak. We are simply patient. We waited 200 years to earn our place among you. We can wait longer if necessary. We can wait until your stars grow cold. She listed the demands. Her voice was flat and final. These are our terms. First, the Council will publicly admit to the murder of Ambassador Park Tae-ho. His name will be recorded in galactic history. His sacrifice will be remembered. Second, humanity will receive permanent representation on the Council with full veto power. No decision affecting human interests will be made without our consent. Third, all hostile actions against human colonies will cease immediately. The Valen biological weapon program will be dismantled. The worlds that were poisoned will receive full medical support. She looked directly into the camera. Her eyes were steady. You have one standard rotation to comply. If this ship is destroyed, the stars ignite. If any human colony is attacked, the stars ignite. If our demands are rejected, the stars ignite. There will be no negotiation. There will be no compromise. There will be no mercy. You taught us that mercy is weakness. We have learned your lesson well. The transmission ended. For a long moment, nothing happened. The warships surrounding the Herald kept their weapons trained but did not fire. The council members received the transmission in their chamber and sat in stunned silence. No one knew what to say. Then the Velen representative, Kasok, rose from his seat. His forearms trembled with rage. This is a bluff. The humans cannot possess such technology. They are primitives. They barely discovered faster than light travel 3 centuries ago. Destroy their ship. Destroy their worlds. Show them the price of threatening their betters. But the Prime Voice raised his ancient hand. Wait, he activated his own console and ran calculations. His mechanical eyes flickered as he processed data. The humans are not bluffing, he said finally. Our sensors have detected anomalies near several home stars over the past months. We dismissed them as natural phenomena. We were wrong. They have done exactly what they claim. The chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives screamed at each other. Some demanded immediate surrender. Others called for war. The Velens insisted on attack. The smaller species begged for peace. On the Herald of Tae-ho, Commander Mira waited. She had done her part. Now the galaxy would decide. Her communications officer, a young woman named Shin Da-un, looked at her with wide eyes. Commander, do you think they will accept? Some will, Mira replied. Some will not. That is why we positioned the weapons. Hope is not a strategy. Fear is a strategy. What happens if they attack us? We have no shields, no weapons. We will die in seconds. Mira nodded. Yes, we will die, but so will they. That is the point. They can kill us, but they cannot survive killing us. That is the only equality the Council understands. Hours passed. The warships maintained their positions. The Herald maintained its position. Neither side moved. Then, slowly, transmissions began to arrive from across the galaxy. The first came from a species called the Telani, one of the smaller council members. They announced that they accepted humanity's terms. They wanted no part of a war that could destroy their star. More followed. One by one, species broke away from the council's unified front. They were afraid. They had lived for thousands of years believing their power was absolute. Now they learned that power means nothing when someone is willing to pay any price. But the Velans did not surrender. Kasok sent his own transmission, visible to the whole galaxy. The Velan Empire does not bow to threats from animals. We will destroy the human homeworld. We will hunt their colonies to extinction. We will prove that their weapons are lies and their courage is illusion. Let the galaxy see what happens to species who challenge their betters. The Velan war fleet began to move toward the Sol system. Mira watched them go. She felt a strange peace. The choice had been made, not by humanity, by the ones who refused to believe. She opened a channel to Earth. Admiral Kang, the Velans are coming. They have rejected all terms. Suyon's voice came back, heavy with sorrow and resolve. Understood. Activate the beacon at Keth. Mira closed her eyes for a moment. Then she gave the order. God forgive us, she whispered. God forgive us all. Across the impossible distance of space, a small black device woke up near a yellow star. It began to do what it was designed to do, and the Velan sun began to die. The star called Keth had burned for 4 billion years. It had watched the Velans evolve from simple creatures into masters of space. It had warmed their worlds as they built great cities and conquered distant systems. It had been their god, their father, their eternal light. They believed it would burn forever. They were wrong. The device did its work slowly. Particles injected into the star's core disrupted the delicate balance between gravity and fusion. The process could not be stopped once it began. Hour by hour, the star grew unstable. It swelled, then shrank, then swelled again. Its light flickered like a dying candle. On the Velan homeworld, people looked up at their sun in confusion. Scientists scrambled to understand what was happening. They ran calculations. They checked their instruments. The numbers made no sense. Stars did not behave this way. Stars did not die this quickly. Then they understood. Then they screamed. The Velan war fleet was halfway to the Sol system when the reports reached them. Kasok received the transmission on his command ship. His 4 eyes watched the data scroll across his screen. His species was dying. His world was burning. His arrogance had killed them all. Turn back, he ordered. Turn back now. But it was too late. It had been too late from the moment he rejected humanity's terms. Keth collapsed. The outer layers of the star blew outward in a wave of fire and radiation. The shockwave traveled at millions of kilometers per hour. The Velan homeworld had no time to evacuate, no time to prepare, no time to say goodbye. 4 billion Velans died in less than 1 hour. The wave destroyed everything. Cities that had stood for 10,000 years became ash. Ships that tried to flee were caught in the fire and melted. Ancient monuments, priceless art, libraries full of knowledge accumulated over millennia, all gone. An entire civilization erased in the time it takes to cook a meal. When the light faded, Keth was no longer a yellow star. It was a white dwarf, a tiny, dense remnant of what it had been. Around it orbited nothing but debris and dust. The Velan Empire had lost its heart. The galaxy watched in horror. On the council capital, representatives sat in stunned silence. Some wept. Some prayed to gods they had not believed in for centuries. Some simply stared at nothing, unable to process what they had witnessed. The humans had done it. They had actually done it. They had killed a star. They had destroyed a species, and they had 11 more stars targeted. Kasok's war fleet stopped moving. The Velan ships that survived had nowhere to go. Their homeworld was gone. Their colonies were thrown into chaos. Their empire, which had ruled for 10,000 years, collapsed in a single day. 2 more council species immediately transmitted surrender. They did not negotiate. They did not ask for terms. They simply begged humanity to spare them, but the council itself remained defiant. The Prime Voice called an emergency session. His ancient face showed something it had not shown in millennia. Fear. We must respond, he said. If we do not respond, we show weakness. Other species will rise against us. The order we have built for 10,000 years will crumble. With what? Demanded a representative whose species had already surrendered. They hold our suns hostage. Every fleet we send gives them reason to ignite another star. How do we fight an enemy who is willing to die as long as they take us with them? The prime voice had no answer. Far away, Admiral Kang Soo-yeon watched the aftermath on her displays. She felt no triumph, no satisfaction. She felt only a hollow emptiness where her heart used to be. Dr. Yoon Hana stood beside her. Tears ran down Hana's face, but her voice was steady. 4 billion. Hana whispered. We killed 4 billion beings. They killed themselves. Soo-yeon replied. We gave them a choice. They chose wrong. Does that make it better? Does that help you sleep at night? No. Soo-yeon's voice cracked. Nothing will help me sleep again. But our children will sleep. Our colonies will survive. Our species will continue. That is enough. It has to be enough. She straightened her uniform and opened a channel to every receiver in the galaxy. People of the Council, species of the galaxy, you have seen what we are capable of. You have seen what we are willing to do. Now, listen to what comes next. Her voice was cold and hard like frozen iron. There will be no council anymore. The age of elder species ruling over younger ones is finished. The age of silent murders and quiet genocide is over. From this day forward, every human colony is sovereign. Every human ship carries the authority to ignite stars. We have distributed our weapons. We have shared our knowledge. You cannot eliminate the threat by killing our leaders or destroying our homeworld. The fire lives in every human heart now. She paused. You wanted us voiceless. You silenced our ambassador and thought you had silenced our species. You were wrong. Now every human speaks with the weight of dying suns. Every human child carries the power you feared. We did not want this. We wanted peace. We wanted friendship. We wanted to build things together, explore together, grow together. You refused. You chose instead to murder and poison and erase. So now we choose to. Her final words echoed across the stars. The age of councils is over. The age of submission is over. The age of humanity has begun. We will not rule over you. We will not conquer you. We will simply exist, forever beyond your power to destroy. You may hate us. You may fear us, but you will never, ever silence us again. The transmission ended. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy changed. The council dissolved. Some species fled to distant regions of space, hoping to escape human reach. Others sent messages of peace, desperate to build new relationships. A few tried to attack human colonies and found their own stars flickering and warning. On Earth, there was no celebration. How could there be? They had killed billions. They had become the thing they once feared. The victory tasted like ash. Admiral Kang Soo-yeon retired from service. She spent her remaining years writing a history of the war. She wanted future generations to understand what they had done and why. She wanted them to know the cost. Dr. Yoon Hana continued her research. But she no longer built weapons. She worked on ways to heal stars, to restore what had been broken. She knew she could never bring back the Velans, but perhaps she could prevent another species from suffering the same fate. Captain Baek Jin-woo returned to his family. He held his sons tight and promised never to leave them again. He never told them what he had done. Some burdens are too heavy for children to carry. Commander Yoon Mira became the first human governor of a joint colony, a world where humans and other species lived together as equals. She worked every day to prove that humanity could be more than destroyers, that they could build as well as burn. And in the great chamber where Ambassador Park Tae-ho had died, a memorial was built. His name was carved in letters of light that could be seen from space. Beneath it were the words he had spoken before his death. Humans do not forget. We do not forgive. And we do not stay silent forever. The galaxy had learned this lesson in fire and death. They would not forget it either. Centuries passed. Humanity spread across the stars, not as conquerors but as partners. The weapons remained, always ready, but rarely needed. Most species found it easier to negotiate with humans than to threaten them. Peace grew slowly, like a flower in a field of ash. But every child in the galaxy, human and alien alike, learned the story of the Council and the small blue world that destroyed it. They learned that power is not about being the strongest or the oldest. Power is about being willing to pay any price for survival. Power is about standing up when everyone expects you to kneel. The stars still burned in the endless night of space. But now they burned with a new truth written in their light, that the quiet species from Earth, the ones who had once begged for a single voice, had become the most terrifying thing the cosmos had ever known, not because they were cruel, not because they were evil, but because they had learned what the universe really was, and they had refused to accept it. They had refused to die, and in refusing, they had changed everything, forever.